What kind of world was the New Testament written in? How is it different than our world today? And why does it even matter? Hello, and welcome to my ex-Christian deconstructing Bible study bonanza. I am here to help you deconstruct. We're diving into the textbook, The New Testament, by Dr. Bart Ehrman, ex-Christian and biblical historian. I highly suggest you follow him on social media, get this book, and follow me too, of course, as I deconstruct and share my spiritual journey. We're going into the third chapter today called The Greco-Roman World of Early Christian Traditions, and I want to start out with why it's so important. When Christianity was created, things were way different than they are today. There's this, what I would call, immature outlook being perpetuated by evangelical churches that everything is, was, and will be the same as it is today. So an important thing we have to deconstruct is the notion that society in which Christianity developed was the same as it is today, because it wasn't. And once we start to understand the world as it was in the first century, the Christian worldview starts to fall apart naturally. Let's start with the idea that everyone has to believe the same thing because A, there's only one truth, and B, the one truth is a progression from incorrect, savage beliefs to correct, enlightened ways of being civilized. Dr. Ehrman traces this back to Alexander the Great, who went a-conquerin' in the late 300s BCE. So this started about 400 years before Christianity really began taking off. Everywhere he went, Alexander brought with him Greek philosophy and society, and people bought into it because that's how the rich were living in the land he was from. Let's set up cities, let's set up centers, let's set up Hellenized culture, because that's how the elite do it in the cool, fancy places. This is a non-religious idea we still have today. New York is awesome. Los Angeles is fantastic. Des Moines is the center of culture in Iowa, as small-town me believed in the early 90s. I live in a suburb of Toronto now. There's another example. It's the supposed epicenter of urban living in Canada. All of this can be solidly traced back to Alexander. It's probably been around for as long as cities have existed, but we're talking about what we can trace historically. So to tie this in with Christianity, everyone has to believe the same thing. Everyone has to live the same way. And the higher you are in the social hierarchy, the better you are. Christianity was developed in a milieu where all these things were taken as a given. But it's not actually a given. Think for a moment how each of us has our own unique path and that money and status don't buy happiness. This is something we know now, but as ex-Christians and people living in today's society, we used to live as though status and conformity were God's will. This part right here is seeing the water we little fishies are swimming in. In the next part about chapter 3, I'm going to talk about how people viewed the gods in ancient Greece and Rome and compare it to monotheism.